been a little reluctant to do this segment because I feel like I'd be covering better things, but as requested, Pocket PC applications that don't suck. Okay. For the record, I have a Dell Axim X51V Pocket PC. You can get the specifications online. The shining points about this Pocket PC, which allows me to do this segment better than anyone else, is it has VGA output, meaning I can actually plug in a CRT or an LCD monitor into this little son of a bitch. It's a great Pocket PC when it works. My personal review of it, the hardware is great, the software is lacking, the operating system is Windows Mobile 5, which is a little bit lacking. Dell's tech support is absolutely horrific, so if you want Linux compatibility and hackability, go get an iPack. If you want power, get an Axim. Okay, I'm going to go plug this thing into my flat panel, zoom in, and I'm going to go through some Pocket PC applications that don't suck. Before we begin, I need to explain the two different views that my Pocket PC is capable of, especially when spitting out to a monitor. You also have to understand that this is going to eat up a lot of my CPU power, so things are going to be a little bit laggy. So don't take this as like a benchmark for the power of this Pocket PC. Okay, this is in standard I'm a Pocket PC mode. Okay, if I press the rotate button, everything will rotate 90 degrees and go into landscape mode. And at this point, everything is in full VGA on the screen. This is the mode that I'm going to be doing a lot of the demonstrations on. But you have to understand that some programs are not designed to run in landscape mode like this, so they'll align awkwardly. The first program I want to talk about, which I think is pretty important. If you're running Windows Mobile 5, sometimes they have this unsigned, unpublished developer warning. So every single time that you try to run an application, it says warning. This is not from a signed or trusted developer. This program called Set Security will actually disable that prompt. Now, if you read this, it actually explains when the security prompt is on, users will be asked for permission to run any unsigned application. Right now, my prompt is off. I'm going to turn it back on, and I'll show you what happens. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll run anything. This program is from an unknown publisher. Every single time that you run an application, that's going to happen. So Set Security will disable that, and I think that's pretty important right there. I don't even know why the hell they enabled that. Oh wait, it's Microsoft. Never mind. The next what the fuck application, which I cannot believe that this wasn't even built into the operating system, is called Pocket Lamp. All it does is turn your screen white. I'm sure a lot of us have used our mobile device backlight in the middle of the night to go and scramble for a key or a lock or something you dropped. There you go. Another thing is Pocket Mirror. Pocket Mirror, it does no justice on this LCD, but on a Pocket PC, it turns the screen black and makes it relatively reflective. It's actually pretty good. The one thing Windows Mobile 5 lacks by default is a decent taskbar. I like to use something called Magic Button. Magic Button is a freeware application that adds a taskbar up here. Also, the default action of your button over here is not to close your applications, it's to minimize it. And with having no taskbar, it eats up resources. I was wondering why when I first got my Pocket PC, that every single time I ran an application and closed it, it's like I had 30 of the same program running in the background, not even realizing it because there's no taskbar. Magic Button is a really great, free taskbar application. The next thing I want to mention is Calligrapher. Calligrapher is really great handwriting recognition software. It also adds a keyboard if you need one, but it's, if you can see, the keyboard's taking up the majority of the space on the screen, so if you want to do something like chat or type up a document, this is a real pain in the ass. Calligrapher is not freeware, however, I really think it's worth the purchase. You can use different forms of handwriting and different handwriting styles, and it's pretty good. If you want handwriting recognition software, go with Calligrapher. As a phone freak, I understand how wonderful it is to have a telephone dialer. And I've got one. Another freeware application called Pocket Dialer. It's not designed to run in landscape mode, but you'll get the point. Basically, you punch in your phone number, and then tell it to play it. Freeware application turns your Pocket PC into a DTMF tone dialer. Can't complain. My media player of choice for Pocket PC has to be the Core Pocket Media Player. It's much like VLC. It has a lot of formats that it can play. It can do pretty much anything you need it to do. And it's all around a great little application. It has plugins, so you can add, like, by default it'll do MPEG-2, it'll do do a whole bunch of stuff. MP3's out of the box, but you can actually add plugins to add more codecs. The interface is a little lacking, but I mean, if you're familiar with VLC, you'll be right at home with the Core Pocket Media Player. VLC is still in beta for Pocket PC, and it doesn't run as well as the Core Pocket Media Player. So for now, just stick with TCP/MP. If you've noticed right here, this is the Today screen. This over here is part of Resco File Explorer. The built-in File Explorer isn't all half bad, but Resco File Explorer is a whole lot better. It's not freeware, but I think it's worth it. It allows you to actually scan for network drives if you're actually connected to a Wi-Fi network, which is really great in conjunction with the Core Pocket Media Player, because that will allow me to actually stream videos across network. See, there's my computers. Yay me. It also has a registry editor, it has search, it has cryptography, where it'll actually encrypt the certain files on both the PC side and Pocket PC side. I don't know how well the encryption is, I've never used it, never cared to use it. It's also got search features, if I haven't mentioned, and it actually has file associations, so if the default Windows File Explorer doesn't understand what a file type is, you can associate that with Resco File Explorer. As you also notice that the Today screen also has battery life meter, your RAM, well, you have one of these is system RAM and one of these is operating system RAM, and whatever drives you've got. We've got a registry editor, we got power profile settings and memory settings, configuration, and File Explorer, all right there on our Today screen. Really great. Not, like I said, not free, but nice little application. If you notice up here, I've got a weather application. Tell you the truth, it's pretty much the only weather application that I've been able to get to run on my Pocket PC. This is Pocket Weather. I do believe the company name is SPB, so this is called, I think, SPB Weather. Again, not freeware, but if you really, really are a hard-ass about knowing what the weather is, like right now on your Pocket PC, it's got some really good features. You can have multiple locations. You can actually tell it to try to synchronize the weather data, like anywhere from any minute to every hour, day, week, whatever. You can put in whatever information you want to display on the screen. This is its default setting. I'm not going to mess with it. It's pretty good. Something that I actually kind of like, I'm wishing it had more compatibility, is Microsoft Voice Command. Basically, I mean, for me it was free. I don't think it's free, but it actually came with my Pocket PC's software and applications. What I've done is I've actually mapped this button to voice command, and every time I press that button, I can issue the Pocket PC specific voice commands. You cannot add new ones. You can actually control Pocket Media Player, not VLC, but the Microsoft Media Player for Pocket PC, with voice command. So here, I'll give you a quick demonstration. What is the battery level?
The battery level is 88%.
What time is it?
The time is 12:43 p.m.
If you have an iPad Pocket PC, then you probably have a relatively good application to go and connect to Wi-Fi. I unfortunately don't. This is Wi-Fi Socket Companion. I love it. There it is. I mean, you can quite literally use it to go and find Wi-Fi. You know, a crude NetStumbler-esque kind of thing. It'll actually make it a lot easier for you to connect to Wi-Fi access points. It'll allow you to find them and manage them. It's a lot better than the built-in default with what Windows Mobile 5 has. It's not free. I think it was something along the lines between $5 to $15 US, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. I definitely endorse this. I think it was definitely worth the buy. My web browser of choice for Pocket PC is right now Opera. There's Opera and something called Minimo or Mini Mozilla. The problem with Minimo is it's still in beta, so it's a little glitchy. Things don't line up right, and apparently you only have a 30-day trial with Opera. Come on, go away, I'm trying to record. Alright. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm probably going to buy it because this thing is very compatible. If you're configuring routers or snooping around people's networks and you need a full-blown web browser, this is the browser of choice. I have a full VGA Pocket PC, so both Minimo and Opera put my Pocket PC in full VGA mode, and the text is way too small to read. But if you have a QVGA Pocket PC, I'll assume things will line up right. I mean, Minimo, the Mozilla Firefox for the Pocket PC, not even with a full VGA screen, things were lining up correctly. Things weren't displaying properly. However, Opera seems to be running quite beautifully. Once Minimo gets out of beta, yeah, I'll probably switch over to that. Of course, everyone knows about Skype. I hope you do, because on BSoD we fully endorse Skype because it's really great freeware application. Granted, there's a whole lot of Big Brother conspiracy crap about it, but it's Skype for Pocket PC. It's free. It'll allow you to do voice chats. Here in the United States for the next month or so, well, actually, after the release of this segment, no, we don't have free landlines. But if you're in a place like me and you got a lot of Wi-Fi in the area and you really don't feel like using your cell phone minutes, if you even have one, go buy some Skype out minutes. There you go. It turns your little Pocket PC into a phone. Can't complain. It's Skype. It is one hell of a power hog, though, so if you don't have a powerful Pocket PC, there are two versions, one for low power processors and one for high power processors. I'm running the one for high power processors. I get about an hour, maybe hour and a half, if I turn my backlight off and all my extra features. So be forewarned, Skype is a resource hog. If you are an absolute, instant messenger whore, I go and get IM Plus. It pretty much does all the major IM services. See, this is another, you gotta pay for it. So, I mean, really, to tell you the truth, hunting and pecking on an on-screen keyboard or trying to use even Calligrapher to try to instant message over Pocket PC while mobile, like in a car or train or whatever, it sucks. Use a keyboard, really. If you don't mind quite literally hunting and pecking your way through all your instant messages, okay, cool, fine by me. This will actually do MSN, Yahoo, ICQ, AIM, Jabber, and Google Talk, all in one application. I think it's $15, I could be wrong, for the application, but if you really do need to have your IM client on your side at all times, go ahead and get a copy of this. It does not do IRC. If you want to do IRC, I would highly recommend, I don't have it up on my list. ARG. If you really do want to do IRC, there's a cute little application called Pocket IRC. Again, this is not freeware. You actually have to pay for this. It's a little clunky, it's a little bulky, relatively cheap. I mean, I'm an IRC addict. Don't tear me away from my IRC, so I actually got a copy of this. Merc, it is not BitchX, it is not IRSSI, it is not. However, it's full-featured. You have to. There's a relatively decent learning curve on getting all the commands and understanding how the software works. It gets a little quirky when you have a lot of nicknames in the channel list. It gets a little cumbersome. If you don't have a VGA screen and you actually have QVGA, well, now you'll understand why we enforce the keep your nickname short rule on the BSoD channel, because when you have people with excessively long nicknames, it'll actually take up 3 lines of just for their nickname, just so they can say LOLs. Real pain in the ass. I'm not going to get into games because there's a lot of games for Pocket PC, but I'm a big emulation fan, and there's so many emulators out there, and it's such a pain in the ass to go and find emulators that'll work with your Pocket PC. You know, especially mine, because I actually have a graphics accelerator. I thought I installed Morph Gear, but I guess I didn't. Well, okay, fine, I'll just talk to you about it. Morph Gear is a free application. However, it comes with something called Morph modules, or basically these plugins that you install, so it'll actually support different systems. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay for. I highly recommend using the trial of the plugin for your said console, like Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Genesis, Atari, whatever, before you pay for it, because I have an Intel graphics accelerator on my Pocket PC that's been giving me some troubles with pretty much all of the modules. Trialware is great, so go try it out before you buy it. I know that there are some conflictions with the iPad Pocket PCs and button input, so I hope you have a game controller. If you have a Dell Axim X51, X5, or anything that doesn't have VGA, you should have no problems, besides the fact that you have no game controller and the buttons on the thing are just too small to use as a controller. If you do have the X51V, you will probably run into the same problems I have with the graphics accelerator, because even though that some of the plugins are designed to use the graphics accelerator, if you don't use the raw frame buffer, it will crash, glitch, or otherwise screw up. That's pretty much a rundown of some of the... Oh wait, I forgot something. Oh, this one's cute. There's absolutely no point to this whatsoever. I just think it's really cute because I like it. It's a little icon down here. It's called Pocket Candy. Pocket Candy are screensavers for the Pocket PC. Not that you need screensavers for the Pocket PC, but I'm not a big fan of the Matrix movies, but I do like the Matrix Code screensavers, because it's really nice having like 6 monitors all with the same screensaver. It just makes things look a little neater. And this is the only screensavers for the Pocket PC, let alone ones that have Matrix Code. I mean, it doesn't look all that great on the LCD, but trust me when I say on the Pocket PC, you know, this in the Pocket PC, 2 Pocket PCs in front of 4 CRTs and 2 LCDs, all running Matrix Code in a dark, dimly lit room. There's just something soothing that just puts me to sleep about it. I don't know. It also has the classic, you know, flying through space. You know, it's got Mystify Your Mind. Oh no, it crashed. Look, Windows Mobile 5 at its best. Try to stay away from it, people. Far, far away from it. Get a Pocket PC that can run Linux. Ugh. Okay, Mystify Your Mind. Remember, it's running a little glitchy because I'm running in mirror mode, so it's actually displaying on 2 screens at once right now. And it's taking up a lot of resources. As a matter of fact, my Pocket PC is getting a little hot right now. Yeah, you know, it's also got scrolling marquee, spiraling dots, swarm. You know, it's got some good stuff. It also has add-on, like the Matrix Code screensaver is not default. You have to add it on. They actually have a whole bunch of screensavers you can add, and it's free. So why the hell not? I mean, it's a small freeware application that just makes your Pocket PC just a little bit more useful. Well, I'll put a link to whatever I can on the show notes because I really don't care about this segment. I hope you guys don't mind me recording my LCD panel, because it's better than me recording a QVGA Pocket PC screen, trust me. Alright people, that's that.
A lot of people today are buying external hard drives with a large capacity and putting them in small metal enclosure cases. What most of you may not know is that hard drives don't like heat. By putting them in a metal enclosure case, you're drastically shortening the lifespan of the drive. The average drive has an estimated lifespan of about 5 years. Putting a drive in a case with poor cooling can drop that down to 2 or less years. In this segment, I'll show you a mod that's slightly more useful than building a Lego block case. If you have one that's made of metal, this is how to attach a heatsink for more cooling. This won't make a major impact, but it helps. Apparently you didn't Google anything before you slapped that drive into a small metal oven that slowly cooked itself to death. Parts we need. Hard drive. Don't break it while doing it like that though. Case. Heatsink from a Pentium 2 processor. Drill. Torque driver, screwdriver, tape, and screws. Screws are from any computer laying around, whatever you got. Don't really care. Put the tape on the, put some masking tape on the drive. That way, when you're drilling, well, first remove the hard drive before you drill, because some idiots might drill right through the fucking drive. Put tape on your drive. That way, when you're drilling, you don't scratch up the top of the drive. Put the heatsink on. Take the marker. Mark where to drill your holes. Drill your holes. Put your drive back in. And I know I'm forgetting something, but fuck it. Put your heatsink on the drive. And screw it in. Here's our final product. Remember, when you drill the holes, to drill them slightly smaller than the screws. That way the screws got something to grip into. It's also a good idea to use some thermal compound to try and disperse the heat some. Now the last and most important step of the process. Let's plug it in and see if it actually works.
For this project, I want to show you how to make something called an automatic nightlight. Now, don't let the name throw you off. This is actually a pretty interesting project, especially if you're into case modding and whatnot. Some of the parts that we're going to need, of course, is a power supply, which I'll be using a 9-volt regular household battery. A resistor that is calculated for a couple of LEDs. I believe this is a 47 ohm resistor, and these are 2 standard red LEDs. We're going to need a photocell right here. I've also got one, I've got one under here in the magnifying lens. They come in different shapes, different sizes, different forms, but this is their general idea of what they look like. You can actually do a Google search and get better images. And we're going to need our trusty, handy-dandy 2N3904 transistor. We've used these in previous projects. We're going to be using them a lot more. You can also replace that with pretty much any small switching general purpose NPN transistor. Of course, we need some wire to assemble our project with. We're going to need a screwdriver for the potentiometer so we can actually adjust the thing. And, you know, wire cutters and strippers. You know, basic tools. As for the building board, this is a breadboard. I've explained this, I believe, in episode 2. This, however, I have not. This, of course, used, you know, I don't have any fresh, is called perforated prototyping board. It's got a whole bunch of holes drilled into it, and on the other side they have solder pads where you can solder your stuff onto. Really great for prototyping, really great working with. Very inexpensive, and if you want to make homemade, you know, prototype projects, you know, a lot better than a breadboard. Once you test your idea on the breadboard, make a prototype on the perf board, and if it works out the way you like, make a PCB. Okay, something I want to explain about the potentiometer, okay? I've got my multimeter here, and I want to show you what I was talking about how it works, okay? If we notice right now it's got, you know, what, 50.6 kilo ohms on the multimeter. Now if we take our screwdriver and we adjust it, it's going to change. See, right now it's 32.50 kilo ohm. There you go. So that's just the general purpose of a potentiometer. When you twist it back and forth, it'll adjust the resistance between the left and right side. It doesn't balance it. It doesn't subtract it, basically. One side will be greater, one side will be less. So for this project, we only need one side. The photocell I can't show you work. We can only show you in the project. So I'm going to go off camera, I'm going to piece it together, and I'll show you the final result. Here's the final project built and working. It might not seem like it's working because it actually requires nighttime to activate. So if I put a little bit of shadow over it, it'll turn on. Now, the potentiometer over here is actually the adjustment on how sensitive it's going to be. So if we turn it up, it requires less darkness to activate it. If you don't like the size of this potentiometer because it's just too teeny, you can go and get bigger ones. It's all up to you. A perfect use for this is actually a case mod. Like if you like putting LEDs in your computer, or even if you have some LED fans, you can detach those LEDs from the fan and add this circuit. Make a face panel with a couple of these photocells on it. Adjust your resistor for a new power supply, because you're going to be having. I would use the 5 volt going across the floppy drive power connector rather than the 12 volt, because you need less resistance. And there you go. I mean, I think that would be a pretty interesting project if I cared enough about putting LEDs inside my computer.
Well, it's getting to be that time of year again. It's the holiday season, and we're all stuck visiting family or in-laws or whoever else we really don't care to be around. And I can't think of a better way to spend that time than finding a dark corner to hide in and sitting on the laptop and surfing the internet, hanging out with friends on the internet. A lot of times when we visit family, there's no Wi-Fi available. They don't have internet access in the house. Can't find an Ethernet jack to plug into or whatever. So I figured I'd do a segment on tethering through your cell phone. Now, I only have a Motorola cell phone, and I use T-Mobile, so I'm really not sure how to do it with other cell phones or other providers. I know T-Mobile, for I think it's $5.95 a month, to have an unlimited data plan. They really don't bitch about how much data you use. I wouldn't recommend sitting on BitTorrent 24/7, but if you're just sitting on IRC or Instant Messenger chatting with friends, they don't complain. They haven't bothered me yet at all. I'm using a Motorola V635. I believe it's a V635 cell phone. It's a GSM phone. It connects to the Edge network, so I can get about the speeds of dual channel IDSN. The lag's not bad at all compared to my old phone. There's two methods that you can use to connect. You can connect through the data cable or use Bluetooth. Bluetooth can be flaky in some areas if you get radio interference. I like it a lot better. The problem with this cable here, there's two kinds of cables that Motorola phones use. Some of them use the mini USB cable, which is nice. I would use that because it also charges the phone while you're using it. This proprietary piece of shit cable here doesn't. So when you're using this, not only that, it's got a shitty ass little connector here. As you see, I stuck it in the hole wrong and broke off the end, so I kind of got to hold it in, so fuck this. We'll use the Bluetooth method. This is just a cheap piece of crap CompUSA Broadcom Bluetooth adapter. The problem with this is if you're using Windows XP Service Pack 2 or newer, you're going to need to look online and find the cracked Widcom Bluetooth stack, because it's Windows. They crippled the fucking Bluetooth. I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. Let's jump over to the computer and I'll show you how this is done. Once you install the cracked Widcom Bluetooth driver stack, you should see My Bluetooth Places on your desktop. Double click the icon and now click add a new Bluetooth device. At this point, you should put your cell phone into Discover mode and click Next. Once your phone is found, double click it. Check the Dial-Up Network Gateway option so that your phone can be used as a fax or for other dial-up services. Click Next and then OK. Now you can click Finish. If the Bluetooth dial-up networking box pops up, just close it. We're going to use the data plan on the phone because it's faster and it doesn't use up minutes. Now, if you don't have a data plan with your phone, you can use the dial-up network connection, but it's going to be slow, and I'd suggest to use it on your free nights and weekends. Now that we have the Bluetooth all set up, open up Motorola Phone Tools. Create a new Create a new profile. You can name this anything you want. Now select how you want to connect to the phone and click Next. Select your model and put the phone in Discover mode. If you don't know how to do this, just read the directions and then click Next. The computer is now going to search for your phone. This could take a while, and you may need to re-enable Discover mode a few times. Select your phone once it's found and click Next. Now wait forever while it installs the device and click Finished when it's done. A picture of the phone should pop up on the desktop. Once it says your cell phone's provider, you know it's working. Just wait for it to log on. When initializing goes away, it's ready. Just hit the connect button at the top and it will log on to your data plan and you're ready to surf the internet. Well, I think that sums just about everything up. I wasn't planning to do a segment this month, so I really wasn't prepared, but if I forgot anything, check out the show notes. I'm sure I'll be a hell of a lot more sober when I fill them out. See you later.
Hi, my name is Codename Gamma, and today I'm going to show you how to softmod your Xbox. Now then, we're going to need a few things before we start. The first thing you're going to need to run this softmod exploit is you're going to need a copy of Splinter Cell, Mech Assault, or 007 Agent Under Fire. Now, I recommend you try to get your hands on a copy of Splinter Cell because every version of Splinter Cell will work, unlike Mech Assault and 007, which you need the original versions or other ones. I'll put links in the show notes to work. You're also going to need a USB stick, or in this case I actually use my PSP, with 256 capacity, because the softmod is that big. Believe me, it is. Because also this is going to install Xbox Media Center, an SNES emulator, or an NES emulator, and Super Mario Wars, which is a great homebrew game. You know, hands down, it's pretty cool. So to get started, what you're going to need to do is go ahead and plug your stick any way you can into your Xbox. In the last episode, Fox ran through making through custom boards. He also showed you how to make one that will fit your USB stick into your Xbox controller. I recommend you do something like that, just because it's the easiest way. So now I'm going to show you how to get started. I do recommend you check the show notes before you actually start doing this. Just in case there are problems with the softmod, we can walk you through and tell you, okay, well this is what you need to do before or after or in between these steps I'm going to show you. Also check out codenamegamma.com. I have the written tutorial there, and I will put updates on there as well as the show notes. So the first thing you're going to need to do is plug it in, your USB stick, and it's going to come up with this message. Your memory stick's been formatted, blah blah. So it's important that you were to back that up before you did that, otherwise you lost everything on that memory stick. But now it's Xbox formatted and you can start copying your save games and everything. So what we first want to do is go ahead and go into it and verify that it's actually there. And then we want to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and copy my Halo 2 profile onto it, just to verify that everything works. And that's actually sitting there. You know, and this stuff is all actually going to be sped up, so it's going to take a little bit longer than this. You can just copy anything, I mean, just to verify that it is working, and you can copy and write to it. So now we're just going to go back, and we're going to check and make sure that it's on the memory card itself, or not actually your USB stick. And of course it is. There it is, profile codename Gamma. So then that's about it you need to do on the Xbox side. Now we're going to go to the PC side. And on the PC side, you're going to need to download the BSoD softmod exploit, and we're going to need to extract it. You can extract it wherever. I'm going to choose the desktop, and we're just going to let this go through. And it's going to ask you for the password. Now you're going to need to check the show notes because, you know, I didn't want to give this softmod package to everyone, and it's kind of illegal, the stuff in there, so really, I mean, check the show notes for that. And this process is sped up also. It will take a bit longer. It took maybe about 20 minutes to extract everything, just because it was so big. So now we're just going to go ahead and open this up, and we want to go ahead and see there should be two folders, an NTSC and a PAL folder. One for each copy of Splinter Cell. So if you have an NTSC version of Splinter Cell, you're going to need to copy those files. You want to verify everything's in there. You know, not really a hard thing to do, and verify everything's in there in the PAL also. So now we're just going to go ahead and plug in our USB stick to our computer and make sure that it comes up. And we're going to wait a second for it to figure it out, that it's there, and installed it. We'll go to my computer, and there it is. Now I'm going to go ahead and double click, and it's going to ask you, hey, well, do you want to go ahead and format it? Whatever. I'm going to go ahead and click no, because we want it in that format. The FATX format. So now we're going to run Explorer 360. We're going to make this big so you can see it, and then we're going to go to that option, open, and then hard drives or memory card. And then what it should do is it'll scan what drives you have and bring up your memory card. There it is. Now then, over here was where it would usually do the file listing, and it should already have like folders in there, like a random numbered letter assigning for whatever thing you did copy in there, just like the ones that we're going to copy in there now. So now what's going to do is, after we drag that in there, it's going to go ahead and inject all these files over that we need for the Softmod. Now then, this usually takes, I think it took around 15 minutes to inject, and it wasn't really a big problem either. So okay, and then once finished, you just want to go ahead and verify, that there are files in there. It's always good to verify that it actually did copy, because sometimes it didn't, and then you'd go back and it's going to be, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Verify that there's stuff in there just by clicking through it like you would Windows Explorer. And then once everything's there, you can go ahead and just exit and close that out. Okay, so now we're on the Xbox side of it again. So we're going to go ahead and go to memory, and then we're going to go ahead and go to our memory card, or our USB stick that we just copied everything onto. And as you can see, we have our save games on here, and then we have our exploits, our one for Agent Under Fire, Mech Assault, and Splinter Cell. We also have the Softmod pack itself, which needs to be copied as well as whatever exploit you're going to do. So if you're going to do the Agent Under Fire, you need to copy the Agent Under Fire and the Softmod installer. In this case, we're doing the Splinter Cell and the Softmod pack. So you want to go ahead and let those copy. It's going to take a while because the actual installer itself is pretty big. It's not going to take as long as it took to copy them on from the PC to the card, but it will take around the same length. So give it around 10-15 minutes to go ahead and do that. Okay, so once it finishes, you just want to go ahead and go through and go ahead and go back. And go back and verify that, it did copy the hard drive. Because sometimes it doesn't, you just want to make sure it's there. So in this case, you have the ones I wanted to copy back are there. So that's really good. So we're just going to go back now. And we're going to go ahead and copy, or stick in our copy of Splinter Cell. And this will take about a minute or two to come up, but it'll come up eventually. Don't worry about it too much. If you're having problems with the drive, it's better to... If you can get it to boot once, that's all that you need to do. So even if you fight with it for an hour to get it to boot, that's still good. As long as it does it, it's fine. So now it's booting Splinter Cell, which isn't a hard thing to do. It's just booting it. Now then, once you get in there, after it loads, always takes a minute, go ahead and start the game, and then go ahead and just load the game, the Linux profile, and then the checkpoints. Now then, our Softmod installer should come up, our Unleash X installer. And thank Fox for the skin. So we want to go ahead and go to backup. Drive C backup. And we want to go ahead and make a backup of drive C. Now then, we want to do this in case disaster were to strike, or our mod fails. Or if we just want to restore it back to normal, maybe we don't like Xbox Media Center, which I doubt you won't like it, but it's there in case you want to restore it back. This will only take a few minutes, because it actually is copying a lot faster because it's only moving files on the hard drive. So once that's done, we want to go ahead and go down to install Softmod. And it's going to just load. And then once that comes up, we want to go ahead and go to backup EEPROM. And let that back up, and then go ahead and back it up into drive F, E, so that way, we'll need this later, so if we upgrade it or whatever, it'll still be there. Then we just go ahead and install Softmod. It'll ask you what, just go ahead and just yes to everything. And that's going to copy over. It's not going to take as long as it did the first 2 times to move these files, just because it's moving it from the hard drive, so it's not going to take that long. And just let it do its thing, go get a sandwich or whatever. Okay, so once it's finished, you want to go ahead and go back to the main menu. And just let it go back. It'll go back to the nice one that Fox made. And then we want to go ahead and just go to turn off Xbox. And let it turn off. And then when you turn it on, go ahead and press the eject button to take out the disk. And let it boot up. Hopefully you'll get a screen that looks like this. And this is Xbox Media Center. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to play video files from your Samba Share. And setting up your Samba Shares isn't that hard. You can actually go onto the Xbox Media Center forums, or I'm going to put some links in the show notes how you can do this. And browsing through your media is a lot easier than most people think it is. I mean, it's a lot easier than watching it on my computer. And it's just as fast, if not better than doing that.
Cool, I can go program sign to eat speak. Fuck you! Okay? The easy shit that I...
So, yeah. And it's easy to go through and pick and choose whatever episode you want. I mean, it's not very hard to do. It even does other formats, too. However, sometimes the MPEG-4 streaming doesn't work too well. Along with H.264, if H.264 is beyond a certain resolution, sometimes it doesn't like it too well. But other than that, it works pretty well for almost all video.
And we're just gonna bend it across.
And then there's volume control too. If you just use your right thumbstick, up and down will change the volume.
With our iron.
So that's actually really easy to do. You can also just pause it or whatever you're going to do. And there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do. If you have different audio streams like an MKV file, like anime, you can actually change the audio or your subtitles. If you have embedded or separate subtitles, you can use those too. You can create bookmarks. You can even change a lot of the stuff in here. Like the color, you can change your zoom mode. If you have a 16:9 TV, you can change it right there by pressing Y. Not very hard to do. It's pretty easy. So, yeah, and you can zoom and go straight out. If you press X, you can actually go out and leave it in the little corner, and if you press back, then you can go back through the menus. All kinds of stuff like that with Xbox. Yeah, so basically there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it. Now I'm going to go into my music here, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that. And of course, if you Like now, if you go and you take out your USB stick and you format it to a Windows FAT32 or NTS FAT32 partition, you copy your music onto there, you can plug it straight into your Xbox and listen to it. And the same thing with your movies too. They run and you can stream them straight off your stick. Now then, right now I have this Mega Man 2 MP3, which is pretty cool. You can listen to it. Same thing, the controls are standard almost throughout Xbox Media Center, so you have to relearn it. And then there's Winamp visualizations also. You can go through and you can change those to whatever you want. You can even drop in new ones if you want to do that too. But yeah, you can stream through it, make it big. Yeah, basically. Of course, you can always put it back just like the video. You can do all that stuff too. What's also cool about it is you can go online and you can get your album information and album art. And that's pretty easy to do. You just press the white button and it's album information. And it'll go online if there's an internet connection available. If not, it's going to come back, oh yeah, there's an error. Which it did because mine's acting up right now. So yeah, it's pretty good to listen to music on also. There's also playlist support, which is pretty cool. And then there's like weather. If you're on the internet, you can actually get set so you can get your weather for your town. And there's a couple programs in there now, but since my internet connection's not working, I can't really show those to you right now. And the same thing, there are a whole bunch of media center scripts like YouTube. There's a launch browser so you can listen to music videos, and there's a ton. You can actually write these yourself there in Python, so they're not really hard to do. And they're actually pretty good because then they'll stream them, and you can, on some of them they will allow you to save your content, but most of them will just be streaming only. But, I mean, that's cool, too. So, maybe someone can write one for BSoD. That'd be awesome. And, yeah, and of course you can go through and browse your scripts. If you make your own, you can browse them out that way also. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Xbox Media Center. That's the basic rundown. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please visit codenamegamma.com for more info on how to do this and all that. And make sure to check the show notes. I'm Codename Gamma, and this has been How to Softmod Your Xbox. Thanks for watching.